The art piece we're going to be focusing on today is by Théodore Géricault. It is referred to as Mad Woman with a Mania of Envy. It's also been referred to as the Madonna of Envy and Insane Woman, but we're going to keep the title Mad Woman with a Mania of Envy for today. It was painted in 1822 to 23 in Paris, and it's romantic in style, or the style is Romanticism. We're going to focus on France for a little bit, or more precisely, northern France, Paris. A brief history on Paris at this point. They had just went through a revolution. They overthrew their monarch or their monarchy for a more liberal republic-style government. The execution of Marie Antoinette and her husband happened a little bit. And now Napoleon is in power. The art scene is mostly neoclassical. Most of the things that are being accepted into the royal salon are neoclassical in style. Théodore Géricault was born in Rouen, Paris. He had an early education in classical figure composition and studied at the Louvre. While he was studying at the Louvre, he decided to stray away from neoclassical art style. However, he still had several of his paintings exhibited at the Paris Salon. He went on to have a pretty successful career. In his early career, he did studies of horses and military style painting, and he later went on to create art that would stir up controversy or was seen as political. Now focusing on Mad Woman with a Mania of Envy, it was a portrait among a series of 10 others. There's currently only 5 remaining now. It depicted the mentally insane. Géricault, like many other romantic painters, did not like social standards or restriction. It grouped them up and boxed them up too much. And at this period of time, the mentally ill was not given that much care or proper treatment. They were all social outcasts and just boxed into this one category of insane. So he painted this to showcase their individual behaviors and moods. The subject of the painting is a patient from an insane asylum Géricault visited a while back in Paris. She appears frantic, kind of has this insane look on her face. One of my sources while researching this painting described her, I think it perfectly described the painting. It said she was enraged by malicious envy and hysteria. Géricault at the time was said to be dealing with depression, so this painting could most likely be to express his inner turmoil. Géricault is able to obtain great realism through his fine brushstrokes, detailing every line on a woman's face, which is almost telling of her life experiences. He also uses a warm color palette, including greens, browns, gray, and peaches. Géricault uses his signature sober lighting, which creates a heavy contrast between the dark background and the woman's softly lit face. The composition also draws the viewers to the woman's face, which embodies envy. Given some historical context, Mad Woman with a mania of envy was romantic in style, while at the time Napoleon was ruler of France and the art scene was filled with neoclassical art. Neoclassicism was an art style that took away from Greek and Roman culture. It was supposed to invoke some type of civic duty upon the viewer, or I guess France citizen at this time. So this art that we're looking at is referred to as the Oath of Heredia by Jacques-Louis David. It featured 3 Heredians brothers giving up their lives for the good of their country, and the father is giving up the lives of his son for the good of our countries, and the wives are doing the same. The Mad Women with a Mania of Envy is Romanticism style. Romanticism is completely different from Neoclassicism. Neoclassicism focused on instilling a civic duty within the viewer, or I guess the French people, but Romanticism focused on escaping the real world and put an emphasis on death and violence. This piece, referred to as The Wrath of the Medusa, also by Géricault, kind of formed French Romanticism. It was about a scandal that happened during 1816 where a ship was set sail with at least 147 people on board. The ship wasn't completed, and once the ship was wrecked by a storm, the captain on board fled and left the people there to die. At least 15 people were killed, and the rest of the remainder people who were on board starved for 13 days, and some even practiced cannibalism. Mad Women with a Mania of Envy was one of my favorite pieces throughout the whole class because of the amount of detail and attention is paid to the woman's face, just creating this explosion of like enragement. I think it intrigues the viewer. It made me want to go search more about her story or about the backstory of him painting this. And I think for people who are interested in horror movies, understanding the context of romanticism really like gives you more idea of the whole context of horror movies because they're one and the same, I think, at least. Yeah, so this was really one of my favorite pieces. I also very much enjoyed this class. It was very informative,